It's preparing. All right. Okay, good. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to Bezerra Spiritual Healing Center. For those who are here for the very first time, first of all, welcome. We are very happy to have you here. And we are a non-denominational spiritist center. We respect here all religions, all spiritual traditions. Everybody is welcome to bring your thoughts, your questions. This is a safe space for us to ask our questions, bring our doubts, and grow together. Before I start the announcements, we always begin our service with a prayer. So I would like to ask our brother Mark to come up and give our opening prayer. For those who are not speaking, please make sure your microphones are muted.
Let's all close our eyes and begin a series of slow, deliberate breaths, intentionally focusing on the slowness as you expand your lungs, inhaling, and the slowness as you exhale. Be aware of your feet flat on the ground, connecting to Earth's energies. And continue this very deliberate breathing as your mind now clears. God, we thank you for this opportunity to continue our weekly approaches to progress through knowledge and the application of that knowledge. We thank you for the spirits that guide this group and each of us individually. And we thank you for positive energies that flow through us today, throughout this meeting. The physical distances are not a restriction in any way. We thank all who have joined today. And we thank Robbie for preparing as best he can, knowing that what will occur is meant to occur. And for us, this deliberate breathing now prepares our mind to hear all that we are going to hear today, with the opportunity to apply it throughout the week. We thank you, God, in full appreciation, and we humbly request permission to begin today's session. And so be it. And so it is.
So it is. Thank you so much, brother. So, Bethesda Spiritual Healing Center is a member of the United States Spiritist Federation, and our spiritual beliefs are based around scientific, philosophical, and religious principles of the Spiritism. And as Emmanuel, the spirit mentor of Chico Xavier, taught us, knowledge and love are the wings for our spiritual evolution. And that's the reason why the service here is divided into two parts. The first part, we always have someone speaking, sharing the findings from remarkable and qualified mediums and spirits. And it's really important that during this moment, you actively listen, you participate, so then your mentor is already supporting you and you are able to really download the messages that are meant for you to reflect and work on. So we highly encourage you to have and take some notes so that you can carry, you can reflect along the week, and you can sustain the energy that you are absolutely receiving while you're here in the center. And then in the second part, we are going to have a hands-on healing pass where your mentor will be working with BSH mediums and the benefactors of good, so then you can receive the healing energy that you are looking for. I'm going to share here all the opportunities that we have for us to be together, because we know that this journey of inner transformation is not an easy or simple one. So everybody's welcome to do that with us along the week. So from Monday to Sunday, every single day, we meet at 6 p.m. Pacific time for a daily prayer. Everybody's welcome to join. we know that it is in giving that we receive. So please come join us. You pray for yourself, and the whole world will be benefited out of that. It takes 15-20 minutes, depending on how many people we have in the Zoom. You can pray together, or you can just listen, whatever suits you. On Mondays, we have an internal healing service. So if you or anyone who you know is in need, please let us know. Send us the name if the person is in need of physical or spiritual treatment. And the person will be in treatment for during at least 4 weeks. So the BSH mediums will be working with the mentors for the person to receive everything that they need. It is truly important that during this moment, the person who is in treatment stay in tune with the service. So read the gospel, meditate, relax, do something that will enable you to receive the energy that will be working with you and for you. This takes time from 6:30 to 8:30 on Mondays. Again, this is internal. But other than that, everything is open for everyone to participate. So on Tuesdays, we, in collaboration with the Divine Light group, we are studying the book On the Canvas of the Infinite by Ivone de Pereira. It's an amazing book. Everybody is welcome to join, even if you had not gotten this since the very beginning. On Wednesdays, we are reading the book Heaven and Hell, which is one of the series from Allan Kardec, from 6:30 to 7:30. On Thursdays, we are reading the book Living Spring by Emmanuel through Chico Xavier. It's an amazing book as well. And also, as all the others, you can just pick up wherever we start, because usually each chapter tells us a story. Now, if you are in the Sacramento area, every second Thursday of each month, we are having an in-person meeting where we have also healing services. So if you are in this area and you are interested in joining us, please let us know, and we'll be sharing the location with you. On Sundays at 10 Pacific time, we are here. The service takes about an hour and a half. And then at 6:30, right after the prayer, we've been reading the book The Messengers, which is an amazing one by Andrea Luiz through Chico Xavier as well. All of that, of course, for everyone to join us. And then a very important one is every Wednesday, we have fraternal assistance. This one is individual, is by arrangement. So if you are not available on Wednesday, but you do want to talk with any of the BSH mediums, please let us know. We'll be happy to arrange and to make sure that you have someone to talk to you. Very soon, this will be published in our very new website. We are right now transitioning from the old one to the new one, and this is an amazing milestone for all of us. Those who are here for a long time know how much all of us have been waiting for this moment. So hopefully pretty soon we'll be able to be here sharing what is going to be our new website. But again, if you have any question, please reach out to any of us and we'll be happy to support. Now, let me introduce you briefly to who is going to talk to us today. And we are continuing the study of some chapters of the Spirits book. And today we will be studying the chapter 9, Intervention of the Spirits on the Physical World. And we will be going through the questions 473 to 483, the possessed and convulsionaries. It's a really interesting one. Thank you so much, Robbie, for being here talking to us about it. And for those who are meeting Robbie for the very first time, he's a very dear friend of ours. And he says, to take advantage of the opportunity provided by our Creator to better know thyself. The more we morally progress, the better we are to encourage and support others. I couldn't agree more. So without further ado, thank you so much, Robbie, for being here. Take it away, brother.
All right, thank you. I get this up here. All right, I am going to turn my camera off for a variety of reasons. I don't like the dots staring at me on my computer. And also, I'm just going to literally be reading off my pages because this topic was very interesting, but very challenging. It's out of my wheelhouse, but I learned a lot from it. My first inclination was to run from these questions, to be honest, when I read through them to see what they were, because they're different and I haven't given a lot of thought to them, but I didn't like that. So I went ahead and did it, and I'm glad I did, but I hope it makes sense because I had to stop at one point because I ran out of time, literally. So bear with me, and hopefully this maybe will inspire you guys to look at these questions a little. Take it all with a grain of salt. These are just my opinions, where I'm at in life right now. And I threw some pictures of the Eureka area on each slide because I absolutely love where I live. And maybe if the message doesn't appeal to you, you have a picture to look at. So there's something for everyone, hopefully, on this. So with that, let me get going here. Okay, question 473, the possessed. Can a spirit temporarily take over the corporeal envelope of a living person? In other words, can it enter an animate body and replace the spirit incarnated in it? A spirit does not enter a body as you enter a house. Instead, it associates with an incarnate spirit who has its same defects and qualities, so they can both act conjointly. Nevertheless, it is always the incarnate spirit who acts upon the matter enveloping it and according to its own wishes. A spirit cannot replace the one who is incarnate because the spirit is connected to the body until the time set for the end of its material existence. And first and foremost, just associates with an incarnate spirit. That's interesting. I know we communicate with spirits in that way, but I've never like really thought about it more in terms of being possessed. Association is a choice which brings responsibility and accountability, but the spirits do play a role in our lives. They are part of all the influence we experience while incarnate, you know, from family, place of residence, nature, society. We're just surrounded by influences, which really one of the big questions for me of this whole section, really what comprises our identity? Because to me, it seems more of a team effort than a singular. You know, I know it's our responsibility to decide kind of our choice, but you have to take all those influences and bring them in. I did look up something according to free will, because free will was another interesting topic that I'm not really sure where I stand as well now. Free will often emphasizes the ability to choose between different courses of actions, thoughts, or words, regardless of external or internal influences. I agree with that, but that regardless should have a huge asterisk by it. I mean, depending where we are in life, those influences, I mean, they could be absolutely powerful that we're dealing with, and they will shape how we think and how we choose. So I like it, but I struggle with some of these. Spirit Book question 845 responded, however, there is no irresistible incitement, for the individual has the will to resist. Remember, there is a will, there is a way. So that's pretty clear to me. But man, that influence thing, that it's very interesting to me. Spirit Book question 834, are humans responsible for their thoughts? They're responsible before God. And it shows, I guess, you know, the responsibility, the word they use in that, as to what we're faced with, you know, for question or for our everyday life. I never thought of possession as, I was talking to Trace and she mentioned that somewhere someone maybe had referred to it like as a handshake, it's an association. It's not, to me, something that's just, I guess, maybe out of the ordinary. I don't know. I just, it was fascinating. These are fascinating to me, and I left with more questions than I feel I had answers, but I really do enjoy it. but let's go to the next one here. A lot of these were the same, and if I had a chance to do this again, I probably would have chose to maybe like investigate the concepts they did, because a lot of these carried over. But sometimes you're in too deep with what you've started, so you just got to roll with it at that point. So question 474, if there is no such thing as possession per se, that is the cohabitation of two spirits in the same body, may a spirit nonetheless find itself dependent on another spirit so that it sees itself subjugated or obsessed by it to such a degree that its own will is some way paralyzed. Yes, and these are the truly possessed. You must understand, however, that this kind of domination never occurs without the participation of the one who suffers it, either through weakness or desire. Epileptics and insane individuals have often been taken as possessed, but they are in need of a doctor rather than an exorcist. It is common acceptance. It is common, or in its common acceptance, the word possession presumes an existence of demons, a category of beings of a depraved nature, and the cohabitation of one of these beings with the soul of an individual in his or her body. But since there are no demons in this sense, and since two spirits cannot simultaneously inhabit the same body, there can be no one who was possessed according to the idea normally attached to the word. By the expression possessed, one should only understand it to mean the absolute dependence of a soul in relation to the imperfect spirit who has subjugated it. And again, for me, you know, I don't know if all these make sense. I did my best. A lot of these were notes, but Spirits Book question 132, what is the purpose of the incarnation of spirits? God imposes incarnation for the purpose of leading spirits to perfection. So we're putting ourselves in a circumstance to learn. So even in this situation, if we are agreeing to this, we are putting ourselves in a position to learn, because, you know, in the end, to me, what's the difference between good advice and bad advice, so to say, from a spirit? Both offer you an opportunity to learn. Of course, we're gonna, you know, gravitate towards the ones that resonate with us. But as all of us who have lived understand that some of our greatest, you know, knowledge comes from things that were very trying, challenging, and that we didn't enjoy going through. Let me see my notes. Why incarnate? This is accomplished through experiencing, like I was talking about. Experiences offers the ability to compare. And in the end, comparison offers us a choice. And I think it comes back to that many times for me, the choices, but the choices are influenced in so many ways that it's very interesting to me that what is my decision, because it has to include the influences. So that there was a lot in here that was very interesting to me, but I needed to go a lot deeper to really get to where maybe I had better understanding. So the other point, Spirit's Book, question 258, the spirit itself chooses the kind of trials it will undergo. Its free will consists in doing so, giving ourselves an opportunity to grow, change our mindset, maybe to one of gratitude in these situations, because in the end, I don't think anything happens that shouldn't. That's kind of something deep down I believe. So if we look at this in terms of we're choosing our trials, are we choosing, are we making a contract with spirits to come in and teach us on and off? It's, you know, good spirits, like I say, we welcome that. I think I should welcome everything I encounter to the ability I can, to be grateful for the opportunity to grow. That would include if like possessed in the terms of bringing another spirit in. Well, I guess I could look at that to see that would be more of a way to add to the lesson. What if I needed a lesson of influences of something coming in, pushing me until I have the ability to overcome those influences? It's an aid. It might be one I enjoy, but nonetheless, it's, getting to the point of why we're here. And that's absolutely to learn and to grow. And it always isn't the easiest or how we would like it. But in the end, that's all we have is opportunities to learn from situations, change the way we view it and make it work for us how we can. So question 475, can these persons by themselves repel such evil spirits and free themselves from their domination? You can always rid yourself of any burden when you have firm free will. Believe, change your mindset, and practice, right? That's what this stuff means to me. Allow a firm will to better keep us focused on taking advantage of the opportunity granted to each of us. Instead of thinking of repelling, maybe we try, oh no, that's on, I'm gonna go with it. We try to understand. I had moved that to another slide, sorry. Instead of burden, we view as an opportunity. We have empowered ourselves to choose our actions. And I think we need to always keep that in mind. You can get there. It's just if you're willing to put in the effort to practice and to overcome those patterns we've established. Not easy, as we all understand, moving forward, on our progression, but it almost seems it demands at times that we're gonna, it's gonna be a challenge, some uncomfortable moments, but as we see the progression, we can move past those. Okay, so question 476, couldn't it be the case that the obsession by an evil spirit is such that the subjugated person does not even perceive it? Couldn't a third person put an end to the subjugation? And in it, such a case, what role should he or she play? If the individual is morally upright, his or her willpower may help by appealing to the cooperation of good spirits, because the more moral a person is, the more power that person has regarding imperfect spirits in order to repel them, and regarding good ones in order to attract them. Nevertheless, this third person will be completely powerless if one who is subjugated does not cooperate. After all, there are persons who take delight in a dependence that satisfies their tastes and desires. In all cases, however, those who do not have a pure heart cannot have any influence whatsoever. Good spirits ignore them, and evil ones do not fear them. So what, I think of what can this teach me? It's, to choose once again to engage in the lesson of understanding, remain open to seeing things in a new way. In the end, no one can do the work for us. Jesus wasn't able to do the work for others. So that third moral person can offer, encourage, and support. But in the end, if you're not there yet, for whatever reason, it's just not your time. You'll get there, but maybe you need to do more before you get to that point where you make that change. As I say, completely powerless if they're not ready to move forward. And that's what I kind of gained from this. It's one of those, you can lead a horse to water, can't make him drink mentality. And I've been here so many times where the messages were beautiful. The people offering them were wonderful, but I just wasn't ready. And I think we need to keep that in mind at times. Everything happens on its own time when it's meant to. And the best we can do for people when we find them in those spots is just to continue to encourage and support, to not judge them, to try to lead on our understanding that we've been there. And when they're ready, they're ready. But don't try to force it on people, or it can push people away. So like I say, I think the best thing is just encourage and support and be there. So question 477, are exorcism formulas at all effective against evil spirits? No. When these spirits see anyone who takes such formulas seriously, they laugh and persevere. No shortcuts in life, right? We have to work for it. You know, it's one of those, to me, like what would we get out of it if someone just came and threw a formula, said some words, did something, and I'm like, I'm better. You missed the whole point of it. You missed the whole point of the awareness we have to have on it, the struggles we go through, you know, seeing ourselves gain, do a little better, the rewards. It gives us encouragement to push forward. Typically, we tend not to appreciate something that is given to us versus something we've had to work very hard to obtain. And that's something, just speaking from experience in life. When I received gifts from people, I don't view, unfortunately, I have a tendency of not to view them the same as if I'm putting in the effort to obtain that. So I think it kind of falls in line with that for me. You know, because it's a process, right, that we're learning to become aware of. You know, recognizing a need, educating, practicing, evaluating, and then kind of filtering through them all again. You can't remove, or you can't do the process for someone. That doesn't quite make sense to me, but maybe there are those out there that get that, and that's awesome if they do. So question 478, there are persons animated by good intentions, but who are obsessed nonetheless. What are the best means for them to free themselves from obsessing spirits? Tire their patience, pay no attention to their suggestions, and show them that they are wasting their time. Then, when they see they can do nothing, they will withdraw. Don't water your weeds. I have nothing against weeds, but don't feed what you don't want to grow. You manage the situation to create an environment of awareness and understanding, and always try to be grateful for everything we're here to experience. I know at times that statement's challenging. I don't like blanket statements, but anytime we can be grateful, we're better off for it, in my opinion. If you want effective change, it would be beneficial to be consistent with your efforts, right? If the spirits see that you're practicing consistency, you're working on it, maybe they, like I say, they can't do anything and they withdraw. And also let the universe recognize your intentions and witness your resolve as you put your effort into action. That's great for everyone, for ourselves, for everyone around us. You know, people are watching at all times, but it can help others in ways that we don't fully understand, to see that we have the ability to step up and to go through it and to face our challenges and to do so with grace. So question 479, is prayer an effective means for curing obsession? Prayer is a powerful aid in everything, but you must realize that it is insufficient to simply mutter a few words to obtain your desire. God helps those who act, not those who limit themselves merely to asking. Therefore, obsessed persons must do their part in order to destroy in themselves the cause that attracts evil spirits. Prayer is beneficial to us in many ways. You know, it shows your intention to your creator, to take a pause and ground if we're having a stressful moment, to come together to show support and encourage in times of need, and to consistently keep us focused, right? It's a great reminder, a daily activity. It keeps us engaged in the process and keeps us aware. And as I mentioned, you know, prayer is a powerful aid in everything. It's good to take a moment when we face these challenges to go within, to see how we feel, to let the emotions kind of die down a little. There's no drawbacks for prayer. I think we can all relate to that. It goes with the idea of someone can't do it for ourselves, right? All of this, we have to do it for ourselves. We have to put in the effort, like we were talking about. It's God helps those who act. I think we can all relate to that statement when we try to help someone. We don't want to just give to people all the time. It is nice to see at times when we're trying to help someone that they're putting in the effort too, that they're in a position to do, though. It doesn't mean we don't give, but it's just effort's nice to see when you're trying to help people. Or ourselves. So question 480. Well, I'm going through this fast. You guys better have some comments ready. We're cruising. What should be thought about the expulsion of demons spoken of in the gospel? That depends on the interpretation. If you mean by demon an evil spirit who subjugates an individual when its influence is destroyed, it will truly be expelled. If you attribute an illness to a demon when you have cured the sickness, you will have also expelled the demon. A thing may be true or false according to the meaning given to the words. The greatest truths may seem absurd when only the form is observed and when an allegory is taken for reality. Understand this well and try to remember it because it is a universal application. And this is like, it's interesting where you go when you do things, you know, when you go, what comes out of your thoughts, you know, because for me, I've always had this idea, you know, what's the message and how can it be beneficial to me? Because I've never, I guess, worried about who gave the message, if the message is quote unquote truth or fictional, what can it offer me? That's what I'm interested in. What can this bring me that it can benefit in me moving forward in a way that I appreciate this experience more, that I take more from this experience, and that by doing so, hopefully I can get to a point that I can share this with others. So I've always maybe I've always looked for ways to incorporate this because I'm a firm believer in that no matter who you encounter, if they have words of wisdom, we should be open to receive them, not just because they have a title behind their name, not just because they're famous. It's what resonates within you when you receive a message. So allegory to reality, to me, I don't know if I want to get caught up in that because then I feel as if I'm saying one has nothing to offer, only the other one does. And that's closing doors for me. I like to be as open-minded as I can, and it's not always easy, but I don't like to think, you know, things don't have something to offer us. And then there's convulsionaries. And this section, like I thought the first section was very challenging to me. This was so completely out of my wheelhouse that I would like to, you know, when these will go fast because I don't know if I really have a lot that I said on these, but I definitely like to hear others' opinions on these. But the 52 at the top for this was explaining this was Allan Kardec seen or had experience with this, and it was someone in France. Sorry, I don't know if I have the name. Oh, Father Francis Ferris died. His brother built a tomb. There was some cures like at the tomb. I'm not sure how all that, the rest of it really got. It was viewed as a miracle. And then some people with convulsions started having convulsions there. What's interesting is that ended up becoming a movement for a little bit. They were political, and obviously it must have kind of faded off, but you know, the part for me on this, let me see, I don't have much of these. Don't judge on others, honor people's path. Like in the end, it isn't for us to, you know, judge. We all understand that. We're not judging anyone's past or their path, or, sorry, that, but to understand, I guess, once again, the influence the spirits may have on us. Magnetism being a primary source. Yeah, I guess I thought of understanding maybe some self-awareness again on this, but these were completely out of my wheelhouse, just to be absolutely honest. And the other thing I had, nothing never occurs without our participation in it. So to what degree they're interacting with this and to what degree the person is inviting this is interesting to me. But maybe that's where they are to learn something. Like that's all I can think of from my end, is that in some way this is either providing a lesson to themselves or to those immediately around them. But we're going to move on because I will start rambling on that one. Question 482, how can the abnormal state of convulsionaries and hysterical persons suddenly extend to an entire population? By sympathetic effect, mental dispositions are communicated more easily in certain cases. You are not such a stranger to the effects of magnetism that you cannot understand this fact and the role certain spirits play in it through their sympathy with those who cause it. Among the remarkable faculties noted in Convulsionaries, we easily recognize some of which somnambulism, hey, I feel like I did that one pretty good, and mesmerism offer numerous examples. Such are, among others, physical insensitivity, mind reading, empathetic transmission of pain, etc. Thus, it cannot be doubted that such individuals in crisis are in a type of awakened somnambulistic state caused by the influence they exert on one another. They are both magnetizers and magnetized at the same time without even realizing it. I like that last statement. I tried to find within these questions something I could kind of grasp to. But it is interesting to potentially think of the magnetizer and magnetized at the same time without being aware. It made me kind of reflect on, what I could, like maybe that child that was magnetized, influenced by their parent, and they end up repeating the same behavior kind of thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but it did to me. Or becoming, maybe in some circumstances, the boss that you didn't really appreciate when it's your turn. I was trying to find ways to see similar behavior produces similar responses. So that's all I have on that. It's interesting, but it's one, I guess that offers me the ability to try to avoid that in situations that maybe to be more aware of my actions and the influences I have on others. And I'm going to leave that there. Question 483. I felt like as these moved on, they just became more and more challenging for me. And 483 was like the cherry on top, that I was like, this section was tough and they kept getting more for me to pull from. But what is the cause of the physical insensitivity displayed both among certain convulsionaries and among other individuals submitted to the most atrocious tortures? Among some, it is an exclusively magnetic effect, acting on the nervous system in the same manner as certain substances. Among others, the exaltation of thought deadens sensitivity because life seems to have withdrawn from the body in order to be transferred to the spirit. Don't you know that when the spirit is intensely concerned with something, the body does not feel, hear, or see it? In cases of torture, fanatic exaltation and enthusiasm often offer an example of calmness and cold-bloodedness in which acute pain could not have been overcome unless one were to accept the fact that sensitivity had been neutralized by some kind of anesthetic effect. We know that frequently in the heat of combat, a grave wound is often not felt at all, whereas under normal circumstances, an ordinary scratch causes tears. Since these phenomena depend on a physical cause and the action of certain spirits, one must ask how, in some cases, it rested on civil authorities to put a stop to them. The reason is simple. The action of spirits here is secondary. They do nothing more than take advantage of natural disposition. The authorities did not suppress the disposition itself, but rather the cause that maintained and excited it, which then went from active to latent. They had reason to act this way because the event resulted in abuse and scandal. We know furthermore that such interventions is powerless when the action of spirits is direct and spontaneous. And that's interesting to me, that last sentence. Can it get to a point that the influence is so strong when it's more spontaneous? It makes me think of like, and maybe if people have had them, like impulsive thoughts or something, where you have kind of come out of nowhere and they're strong, telling you to do whatever. That's interesting to me. And also the obviously throughout as we spoke, the action of the spirit is secondary. We do have to choose, but man, I have a massive asterisk by that regardless statement I said in the first one. I've come away with all this questioning identity, the concept of identity anymore, because it feels like to me, I mean, we all understand we're all connected in so many ways, but if I'm this influenced by spirits and they are shaping my decisions that I'm accountable for, that's a fascinating situation to me, because it makes me look into my thoughts even more, and to some degree question them, with to be in a weird way scares me, because then I'm evaluating my own thoughts, questioning their authenticity or who they're coming from. And that's fascinating, because it made me think, I'd probably put this on another page, forgot to say, it made me think where the idea of sleep on it came from. I looked it up, and it was like from maybe the 1500s or something it originated. I was like, how interesting that someone had to come up with that. Like maybe they were being influenced in a way that, and seeing others, and they're like, hey, why don't you just sleep on it? You might think differently the next day. And a lot of the times we do. And when you really look at that with this section, it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder just a little bit on that. To what degree we are being influenced, and who are we? Man, that question of know thyself got a lot more complicated for me, because will we ever truly know ourselves with all these influences? We may know why we decide, but knowing thyself took on a deeper meaning to me. It means more work of trying to understand my decisions and my wants, and maybe questioning when I have thoughts that don't align with that. Interesting, a fascinating topic. I hope I did not butcher it too much, because in the end, I had to put the pencil down at one point because I changed my opinion on this so many times that in each one I would look back at my prior and I was like, wow, I'm glad I didn't present that. And then I do another version, and by the time I got to this point, which I'm sure if you gave me another week, it would be completely different again. I'm not really sure what I thought. I was a little bit of a panic mode at one point, where I'm just like, I hope this isn't stupid once again. I do this to myself every time I present, but it made sense to me at times, and sometimes it didn't. It's a fascinating section, and I hope to some degree maybe I was able to offer some inspiration for all to go and try to look into it for themselves, so you can get back to me and say, Rob, you got some work to do. I'm not sure you're where you need to be, but good times. So thank you everyone for the opportunity and for listening.
Thank you, brother. First of all, don't be so hard on yourself. This is a tough topic, but at the same time, I think that you did something that is extremely important, at least for me, Robbie, when I'm studying the Spirits book, which is understand what does it mean. Like they give us the answer, and we must reflect on what does that mean. So, for instance, when you were saying about the be possessed, right? Like, and just so you know, in Brazil, back in a couple of years ago, I would say 20 years ago, because I still remember them very clearly, we would see people having convulsions on the street, in the markets, everywhere, and people would say that the person is possessed by a spirit. So of course, then when I was super young, that would freak me out. But at the same time, my mom used to help me understand what does that mean. And I always would be afraid of, oh my gosh, what if I'm possessed? Like what?
Right.
Right? But I think that you just brought to us what is the most important thing. So first, knowing that the possession is the possession of thoughts, not necessarily of the body. And secondly, by being in the possession of our thoughts, how we can stop that. And I remember very clearly a mentor telling us that the will is our strongest power. The prayer is our strongest resource. So as you said, if we just pray and do not change a thing, we will still be very much influenced by the spirits. And one thing that is extremely important that I even took note about that is for us to be really careful with that saying about, this is who I am. I am not going to change with whatever many years we have. You know what I'm saying? We
Right.
must change. We must change. That is the evolution. That's the calling from life for us. So I think that you brought that, the importance of this inner transformation and how that entices us to be better and to prevent us to, have more accuracy to what are our thoughts and which are not our thoughts. So all this, so we can better filter what type of influence we receive. So that is amazing, brother.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. The other thing
Well,
that, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I would just say about the convulsionaries. Convulsion. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah, I don't know if I did either.
The convulsionaries. I think one of the things that came into my mind, Robbie, while you were saying, is that we two things that we have to keep in mind about that. One is we do not become a convulsionary person just because we were born in this lifetime and things happened. We have to keep in mind that we've been carrying from lifetime to lifetime some instincts, some vices, some things that led us to this type of vulnerability, not only for us, but also for those who are surrounding us. So this is a trial not only for the person who are experiencing this, but also for all of those who are surrounding, so the parents, the caregivers, and etc. So this is one thing, for us to keep that in mind, so that we can have even more compassion with all those who are going through that. And then the second thing is for us, as you said, the magnetism that this person is going through is to give and to receive. Therefore, if we see someone experiencing that, we must be aware of the power of our thoughts. So if we keep thinking about the person, oh, poor person, oh, that's sad, or might be an evil spirit, or that will all worsen the case of that person. So we must stay in prayer and ask for the mentors to support, because the magnetism, as they said, the magnetism is going to support. That's the only thing that is going to support. So when thinking about how to support those people, our state of mind is imperative if we are there watching. So I think that is a huge thing. Yeah, and then about the spontaneous things, as you said, I think that we just have to keep in mind that we bring other things from other lives. So it's not only about what the spirits are doing, but what led us to be in this vulnerable space, and how do we manage our emotions? Because we know that our emotions can trigger some things. So if we feel anger, which are the type of thoughts that emotion is going to trigger, and therefore for all the other emotions. So you gave a lot to think, brother.
Oh, good.
That was amazing.
You never know when you do these, if you're overthinking, underthinking, or in the wrong area. It's interesting. You're always like wondering, like questioning as you continue to put it together. So it's always an interesting journey for me.
for all of us. And that's why we have a group discussion. So everybody who wants to join in, please jump in. Mark, please go ahead, brother.
I just want to tell you that if any of us had been assigned these questions, we probably would have responded and reacted just like you. This is a totally unique set of things to think about. And
Right.
if it doesn't matter how long you've been a spiritist, this just takes you into a whole different realm and line of thinking as to what the intention here is. But you said some things that in the context are so important and they almost get lost with everything else you presented. The essence is, there are these elements that each of us have a perspective of ourselves on as to what we would say we need improvement on. Whatever the basis is for us judging ourselves, could be another voice, could be a special relationship, could be any number of different things that we've probably heard multiple times before, but we identify something that we need to improve. We recognize the benefit of a team approach to all of that. This family, this spiritual family, is a support team for each of us. As we ponder everything you've said today, everything that is here in all these books, that every time we read them, we get something different, we are all supportive of each other to further our knowledge, to give us that ability to improve ourselves. And the last thing I would say, and this cannot be trivialized, is we are heavily influenced by external factors. Yes, we are heavily influenced by our own lives and thoughts and deeds and actions, etc. But think of our environment, think of media, think of the role of jobs and bosses and pressure and money. We are heavily influenced. So we are challenged all the time. And I just think what you've done
basing
is
our decisions off those, right? It's great. It's interesting.
Because you just can't sit back and let it all happen. You've got to respond and react in some ways. And again, that ultimate goal is self-improvement, even if it's just to build a thicker skin. That's it. Nice job, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will tell you, I will do one question. Educating is a lot, just one question there. So, but that is why we have a study group, no? So we can study question by question. I admire your strength and your courage to come and do all of this. I would not do as the way you did. I would not, because it's a lot. I would be crazy. I would be crazy just because just one question is a lot to think, to disseminate, to present. Thank you so much. You are brave to face this challenge and bring all this to us. And we go on this chapter 9, intervention of spirit in the corporal world. That is amazing. I say, probing of our thoughts by spirit. Can spirit see everything we do? So what are your thoughts about that? Those spirits sees every thoughts, everything that we do.
Well, after this, that's a great question. I don't know. I had more questions than I had answers when I started, but it made me believe. I don't know. I don't believe in the identity that I've previously, before taking this on, thought of. I really feel like we are all our teamwork, and the concept of identity. I don't know. I don't think of it the same now. I don't know. I know we make the decision, but as Mark was referring to, it's based off all those influences we encounter. And if I can be influenced by a spirit and not even be aware of it, which I never really thought of too much, that changes so much of my opinion of who I am, or who I believe I am. It
Yeah.
brought a lot of questions to me.
Yeah, and we are composing of all the personalities that we have experienced in many lives. So like Kiki said, oh my gosh, it's so many vices, personalities influencing our life, because how they come back and forth in different lifetime, because what is the purpose of being here is what? Evolution. No, is moral transformation. So all of these we see, the spirit answer, can the spirit see everything we do? They can, because we are constantly surrounded by them. However, they only see those things on which they focus their attention, because they do not busy themselves with matters to which they are indifferent. So that make a lot of what the presentation you brought to us. So all them, for me, now in my evaluation, it is observing yourself. These thoughts that I come insistently in my mind, those thoughts is mine, or who is there influencing me? Like Kiki remember us, the spirit doesn't possess the body, they possess our mind. And as you said, you brought the information, we allow them to. We gave space for them to come, to adjust. An idea will be like blowing on your direction. So it's like a seed. It depends on you if you haven't given them space, fertilized, for them to start to grow, like the weed. I love that message that you putting that together. By the way, I love all your pictures. I have great memories in that place. I love that place, and Redwoods or all that place there. So it is about us to know, recognize this, because my gosh, if you really live a day, just one day, paying attention to everything that comes to your mind is a lot. Like just one day, I would say 1 minute, 1 hour, we start over there, no? 30 seconds. How many thoughts came in my mind? In 1 minute, in 30 minutes, in 1 hour, in 12 hours, in 24 hours. We imagine how can we be more aware of all those crazy things that is ours, is the influence of the ambient, is the influence of the news, is the influence what others are talking to us, and our mind doesn't stop. Like with your information today, is for me is overwhelming. It's a lot to digest. Maybe take a whole month to ruminate in each one, each chapter, each question. So it is very important for us as a spiritist student to know the influence of the spirit in our life. That will help us a lot to understand what our brother brought to us today. Is a very, very important to us to be aware, to be conscious, to understand, is this feeling is mine? Is this pain is mine? Because what you brought, sometimes the demons, the devils will be influenced, and they will allow to the pain to come and fit its place in ourselves, and it's not ours, but we gave them space, and they come in and then they adjust to ourselves, and we adjust to their pain, to their energy, and we suffer until we have surgery. We have to remove a tumor, knee replacement, hip replacement, and so on and so on. So, oh my gosh, I have a lot to think. Thanks so much for that because we be speak a lot. Thanks so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And one thing that I always have in my mind that sometimes we don't pay attention, it's about the effect that we have on them. Because I remember in a book, I will try to find and we can discuss about it. I think it's by Chico, where he mentioned about a story of a woman that she went to the center because of obsession and negative thoughts that she was having, and they helped her there. But in few days in a mediumship meeting, the spirit that was with her went there to give a message, and he mentioned that, I don't know, maybe Kiki can help me on that. When you have a dream, literally translating would be like unfolding, spiritual desdobramento. When you are having a dream and you go to the spiritual plane.
Yeah, as astral travel.
Yes, yes. And he told Chico, I'll try to find the book, that he doesn't want to stay with her. But every night, every day, she was going there and begging him because they have some situations in past life. So I think sometimes we are so focused on the effect that they have on us, and we don't pay attention about how we are acting and how we are affecting them. Maybe our mom that is not here anymore, a different person, and sometimes this obsession is not only because of them, but we want to have this even though we don't have conscience about this feeling and this behavior.
I believe Kiki answered that is in the messengers.
Yeah,
Right,
I think it's the book The Messengers. It's
Yeah,
not.
I believe that
You
too.
don't remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that, Kiki.
Oh,
And
in
it's,
the way of the mediumship, probably.
yeah, it's very true, Gabby, because when we start to go back, remember, we live in a spiritual world. We are spirit. Every night we go back to our spiritual life. Every night when we sleep, our spirit free the body and we continue our life. We don't sleep. The spirit doesn't sleep. We work constantly. And that is why sometimes we go back and connect with our past because our guilty conscience we bring, and then we say, oh, but that spirit is still there in the past, like 1,000 years ago. They do not. But don't forget, we are co-creators. And all the personalities that we live before is still alive. One more for thought.
No, I want to say thanks, Robbie. And I'm glad it was you, not me.
Right.
I know I would have came up with some kind of reason that I couldn't do it.
I tried. I just couldn't come up with a good
I'm
one.
telling you, those questions frighten me even now. I hope even next time I don't want them questions. I don't. Oh my God. That was David. I'm glad I got what I have. Thank you, Jesus. Because I am already nervous Nelly, and I don't like presentations as it is, but I do my part as best I can. Thanks to my brother helping me too. And also, I like the one that tidbit about sleeping on it. And I think that's a big deal because oftentimes you want the time to pray. You want to confer with consult with your guardian, or you want God to help you with this answer or work out a situation. And oftentimes that works for me. I'll wake up with, all these things, the wheel is turning and I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. I say, I know that ain't me. So, because I didn't think of all these things. And I'm appreciative that I went to bed on it. And before I went to bed, I asked, please help me resolve this situation. And then pray throughout the day. I still ask, but at night is really important. Even when I'm sick, I ask, can I go to the hospital on the astral to help relieve some of whatever is going on? So, and oftentimes it worked. I mean, even before, I will share this little tidbit. Before I even got into spiritism, a lot of times we don't like going to the dentist, and that's one of them things, them drills. And it was years and years ago. I was laying in the bed, half conscious, and I hear a drill. I was like, oh, I'm in the dentist chair and I'm in the bed. What's going on? And it stopped, like I wasn't supposed to hear that, you know. I'm like, what? I said, I wish they would fix the rest of these things so I don't have to go sit in that chair for real. But anyway, it was a nice experience because it was just more validation that things happen on an unconscious level, and there's good spirits working with you. And the more we change, the more we work. And I often believe that the mouth has a lot to do with what comes out of it and how it affects what's going on in the mouth. To the day, I believe that. It don't have to be true, but it works for me. It helps me control what I'm doing and saying. So, but anyway, thank you so much. And thank you, Kiki, for giving them to him.
Right.
It wasn't me, you know that. I just type.
I know.
I just type. I don't do anything.
Robbie, thank you.
Go ahead, sister. Just Teresa's comment and we wrap up. Go ahead, sister.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thanks, Robbie. The pictures were great. Like the
Yay.
pictures. And, I think because I've definitely been there myself with, presentations. And I'm like, I'm not even sure I want to know this information.
Right.
But I think, it comes down when we're talking about things that are gray, but yet we're trying to talk about them in black and white. And it makes it very difficult to talk about because, but I think the good thing to remember is that, like so many alluded, I think Mark said, we're all here learning, and it's so good to learn together. Can you imagine having to learn this by myself in a dark room, trying to, it would just freak me right out. But I was thinking about this whole idea about, possession and subjugation and spirits influencing us and our identity. And I think, perhaps we run into a problem because we are still under that delusion that we're separate. And once we really understand and come, we're evolving. I think we're going to get there, but we come to this place where, we're recognizing that we're not separate. We're all interconnected. And I swear to God, I'm keeping count. There's 6 different places in the codification books where they tell us we are interconnected. And so they really are trying to drive this point home. And I think once we realize that, we won't be like grossed out or freaked out or fearful, because we'll have this understanding, of course, like they say, as we evolve, we won't be able to walk past, someone who's missing a leg without feeling their pain. And so, because we are interconnected, and I think as we won't be so shocked or put out by that or so concerned about our identity, because when we realize we are interconnected. So it only makes sense. Why wouldn't we influence each other or have an effect? So, but these are topics like, the whole convulsion thing, and it's like, it just sounds spooky and like, what? And then too, I had convulsions as a young child. So I was like, I was possessed, so, it can just be, it can be like a lot. But I think when we just keep it simple and like, just keep the love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and your neighbor as yourself, I think it simplifies it all. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
And Teresa, you said on something important, that because it's to give too much food for the thought, to give too much importance, because I think on this chapter that Robbie presented, he said there, when the spiritual answer, like when you don't give them too much importance, they will leave. No, they will leave you because they did not find any resonance. So there's an important point there. Thank you, too.
Lovely discussion. Thank you so much. We will have a break, 2 minutes break, and then we come back for the second part where we're going to have a hands-on healing. Because we are doing this study next week, we will have Yuri Castro coming here. For those who don't know him, he's a psychologist, and he will continue the study on the invisible influence. So it's going to be, he's not going to touch specifically those questions, but he will enlighten us also with the physical aspects of all of that. So everybody's welcome to come. All right, so 2 minutes break and we'll resume. Thank you. Don't forget your bottle of water.
Kiki, that will be next Sunday.